just a completely empty Fifth Avenue in Manhattan today. Once again, before we get anywhere today, I want to clear up a couple confusions in yesterday's video about me talking about possibly leaving New York. That was a thought process I've been having for the last 2 weeks that I wanted to take you guys through. Currently, I have no plans on leaving New York, which I said in the video, and I think it would be irresponsible to do so. I think I could needlessly infect other people, and plus, I want to be here. This is the greatest place on earth. This is my favorite city in the world, and I don't want to leave just because there's a global pandemic that happens to be hitting New York harder than every single city. I realize it's a very serious problem, but I don't want to leave. And then the second misconception was that I was scared to be here. I'm not. I realize it's serious, and I realize this is a really, really impactful problem. But at the same time, there hasn't been like an uptick in violence or break-ins or looting. So for my own personal safety, I feel fine being here for the time being, and I don't plan on going anywhere unless things drastically change. The weather is absolutely horrendous outside today, so I do not think we will be out and about for very long. On top of those two questions, lots of people have been worried about me being responsible in terms of keeping myself safe and keeping other people, sorry, it's covered with water, while being outside and possibly touching surfaces and infecting people. I know it's really hard to keep track of what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do. There's so many headlines, there's so many new reports on Twitter, this person saying one thing and this person saying another thing, and government officials are all over the place with what we're supposed to be doing. It's really hard to break down the truth of what we're supposed to be doing, what's safe, what's unsafe, what's irresponsible. What is the actual truth of the New York City quarantine? I 100% have a motor belt broken on my booster board, which is just absolutely splendid. Here, listen to this. It's not supposed to sound like this. You hear that? Not supposed to sound like it. Once we get rolling, it's fine, but I need to get home relatively soon. I think it's very important to know the do's and the don'ts, what's dangerous and what's acceptable. I agree, don't be in crowds, don't go play basketball. As a rational human being, I feel very safe and responsible that I'm not endangering anyone else by being out by myself. If I see someone else on the street, I don't go near them. If I see someone sitting at a bench, I don't go to that bench. But at the same time, if that annoys you guys and you think I'm being irresponsible.
Closing streets in New York City, because we have much less traffic in New York City. We have many fewer vehicles in New York City. Open streets. People want to walk. They want to go out and get some air. You want a less dense area. So pilot closing streets to cars, opening streets to pedestrians.
In terms of where not to be and where to be, I'm going to be listening to the governor and the mayor of New York. They know a lot more than me, and they know a lot more than you, and they're encouraging people to be outside right now. They're closing streets so people have safe spaces to walk and enjoy the fresh air. It's not realistic to be inside of a 300 square foot apartment for months on end. And if you're doing it safely, which I am, and everyone else that I've seen on the street is, everyone's being incredibly responsible. It's fine to be outside, and if things change and the governor says don't go outside, I won't be outside. But for now, I'm just following the rules that are given. Okay, let's talk about some other aspects of New York. What is closed? Are there military people? Are the borders shut? As I said, no one knows what's going on. It's chaos. You're seeing one report on Twitter, you're seeing another report on the news, you're seeing a third report from some government official. It's hard to figure out what's happening. The only stores that are still open are grocery stores, pharmacies, laundromats. Restaurants are open for takeout only, but even barber shops are closed. I couldn't even go get a haircut if I wanted to. But yeah, grocery stores are still open. No one's gonna go hungry. There's plenty of food on the shelves, thankfully. This is Times Square right now. Check this out. Crazy, 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 crazy. Everyone that's out here is out here taking pictures. Like that guy's setting up, I don't know what. Second thing I've heard people saying is, are the borders to New York shut down? Is there military policing them? No, that's not the case. I wouldn't advise leaving New York. I just think that's irresponsible at this point in time. But I know someone that just left a day and a half ago to go back home to Connecticut. The borders are open. There is not military blocking them. You're not getting arrested for leaving the state. Now, that being said, what other states are doing, I know Rhode Island, their governor has cops hunting New York license plates. But a friend of mine in Rhode Island said apparently people are being fined and jailed for just having come from New York and not being, I guess, not quarantining for 14 days or being out and about and going places. It's extreme, but at this point it's not unreasonable. I've seen so many rumors that there are military policing the city of New York as well. No, there are a lot of cops out on the street and they're all being amazing people, risking their lives, doing their job and making sure that everything stays running as it should, but there are no military police. There was this viral video of a bunch of tanks around Penn Station, Madison Square Garden going down the street. I don't know where those were going or where they're from or what they're for, but they're not here policing the city. There is no military locking people down. There are no tanks on the streets. There are no soldiers with guns. The misinformation is all over the place, left, right, and center. I want to take some time to actually tell you guys what is happening inside the city. It's actually looking sort of nice outside. Another rumor I've been hearing a lot about New York is that the police are out fining people if they're outside for no good reason. And I admit I'd heard that too, and it sounded like that might actually be starting to happen a couple weeks ago. But no, that's not the case. As we saw, the governor is encouraging people to go outside and get some fresh air. It's just not tenable to be in a city like this and not go outside for weeks on end. I mean, people have tiny, tiny, tiny apartments in New York. In yesterday's video, there was also a few clips of New York crowded with people on the streets and lots of cars and just busy, busy New York streets as we're used to seeing them. Those were filmed 2 years ago. I keep all my footage and I took some old clips that I had to show the difference of New York on a regular day to what New York looks like now. I think 95% of people understood that, except some people were calling New Yorkers idiots and saying that they deserved to get sick if they were still outside in massive crowds like that. That is not the case. As you can see, the streets are empty. New Yorkers are being extremely responsible. If they're outside for walks or bike rides or on an electric skateboard like me, they're doing so by themselves. They're not touching a bunch of public surfaces. They're not in giant crowds. They're not being idiots. They're not that stupid. Myth I want to clear up. Lots of people have talked about New York possibly getting shut off, like in an I Am Legend scenario, where they just block the bridges and don't let you leave the city. I've been watching Governor Cuomo's updates on a daily basis, and he says, at least as of right now, that is 100% not going to happen, and that is not something he would even consider. So if you're in New York or have family in New York or friends in New York, you don't need to worry about them getting locked into the city, unless things get drastically worse beyond our worst imaginations of what we think might be able to happen. I don't know, it's crazy times, it's different, it's stressful. I'm not stressed about myself getting it. I'd be more stressed about me giving it to other people and possibly infecting some more at-risk people. But as for right now, everyone's relatively relaxed. People are outside going on walks. This guy's going for a bike ride, probably delivering some food to someone. We just need to try and stay as calm as possible. Support local businesses if you can. Enjoy your day the best you can. Find some new hobbies to do. I've been reading so many books since this started. I have read 5.5 books, which is amazing because usually that would take me a month and a half to do, and it's taken me a week and a half. Guys, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. You are some of the most amazing people on earth. 1 second, I'm gonna run this red light really quick. Do not do this. This was 2 lanes of traffic, unsafe. Do not do that.